So, you have recently felt the effects of rising petrol prices and have finally decided that it is the perfect time to switch from driving a conventional car into an electric vehicle. But here's the thing, you don't want to spend an arm and a leg for the latest Tesla Model Y or Model 3. What's the best option for a value-oriented EV buyer like yourself? Hi, my name is Rick and I've only driven conventional cars for the past 22 years. I've recently opened my mind into driving an EV, and let me tell you what car I picked as my first EV and why. I live in New Zealand. We have recently seen a surge on demand for EV due to the current market conditions, more specifically due to the rising petrol prices and its relevant effects on the economy. Anyway, let's break down what are the available EVs in the entry/budget level range. And when I'm talking about budget, I'm looking at around the $35,000 US range or maybe less. So here's what we have filtered down so far. And as mentioned, we are based in New Zealand and you may have a different market on your region, but let's just go with the list. And so here's what we have. We have the Nissan Leaf 2nd generation, used or imported from Japan, which comes at around $22,000 US. We've got the MG SZ EV, which comes with an Excite or Essence, which is roughly around $32,500 US. And we have the new player BYD Atto 3, which comes with a standard and extended range. The standard comes at $32,600 US, while the extended range comes at $36,000 US. And we also have the Nissan Leaf, which is a brand new one at $38,000 US. For reference, our Tesla Model 3 over here cost about $47,000 US. Okay, let's start with the Nissan Leafs. The Nissan Leaf 2nd generation, used or imported, is too expensive and offers limited guarantee. I mean, normally it would come with a 1-year battery warranty, but that's about it. And the big part is that the battery health can be a hit and miss with those used Nissan Leafs. Alright, let's have a look at the new Nissan Leaf. It's priced really steeply at $38,000 US. Battery comes with an 8-year warranty or 160,000 kilometers, depending on the market of course, and features are decent but feels a bit lacking considering the price. I mean, it seems okay spec wise, but interiors could be better, and I do have reservations with the Nissan Leafs. Here's the thing, the Nissan Leaf has been around for 10 plus years now. The problem I have with the Leaf is the company making the car, Nissan, is very slow in innovating their EV technology. Sure, they have increased the range and the battery capacity of the Leaf over the years, but it is still below average considering what we have in the current market right now. I mean, they have produced over 400,000 of these Leafs since the first production, but the improvement over time doesn't reflect that. They haven't really pushed EV technology forward, mostly because they carried on selling the conventional cars to the market. Overall, Nissan hasn't invested much in improving their EV and battery technology over the years. The value is just not there, and basically this eliminates our Leafs from any of our choices. So that basically leaves us with the MG SZ EV and the new player, which is the BYD Atto 3. Now, to keep this a close head-to-head comparison, we'll isolate our choices to the MG SZ Essence and the Atto 3 standard range. The MG SZ Essence is a step up from the Excite model, and drivetrain is the same, but the Essence comes with some quality of life features. The BYD Atto 3 standard range also comes with mostly identical specs as its more expensive extended range counterpart, apart from the battery capacity and the range of course. And both of these ones, the MG SZ EV and the BYD Atto 3, is similarly priced. We're not going to dive deeply into a detailed specification comparison between these two cars. I mean, if you are watching this video, chances are you have already looked through both of them 1,000 times. If you haven't, I'll put down some links down the description for your reference, and while you're at it, please hit that like button if you're enjoying the content so far. Okay, let's cut to the chase. The BYD Atto 3 is superior when compared to the MG ZS EV. Let's go through some highlights here. In terms of performance, the BYD Atto 3 has slightly better engine power, slightly better torque, and slightly wider wheelbase than the MG ZS EV. That means that the BYD Atto 3 will have better acceleration, response, and handling compared to the MG one. Suspension and handling felt better than the MG, definitely better around corners. It feels like it has a lower center of gravity. Both of these cars come with a front-wheel drivetrain, and in comparison to the Tesla Model 3, these specs are not really that impressive, but that reflects the price. Between the two cars, Atto 3 is still a better choice over the MG. In Eco mode, the acceleration is in ho-hum category, but in Sport it seemed okay, but it did feel a bit heavier than the Ioniq, and it is about 250 kilograms more to launch. Front-wheel drivetrain of course means that they wouldn't have the same acceleration as the Tesla Model 3, and this is okay. You would need to limit the power of front-wheel drive cars as it's likely to have understeer on cornering. But in saying that, Atto 3 still has that power to push you through. Comfy, responsive ride and plenty of power when you need it. Sport with larger regeneration offers a subtly different driving experience. It drives smooth and quietly, and you can be going deceptively fast before you realize it. Not as much air resistance noise either as compared to the MG. The Atto 3 does look more aerodynamic. Battery-wise, both the EV and Atto 3 comes with the safer lithium iron phosphate batteries. I guess the only difference here is that the BYD sources their own battery and has that patented blade battery technology, which they claim is the safest in the world, while MG sources their batteries from CATL. For range, both models we're using for comparison here will have roughly the same range at 320 kilometers. Although you do have an extended range available with the Atto 3, and both have regenerative braking technology as standard of course. In terms of features, both cars comes with all the standard safety and security features, although the BYD Atto 3 does come with a heat pump. Yes, that is essential, a heat pump. The interior and exterior styling is pretty subjective, and this is difficult to gauge. What I do look at is more on build quality rather than looks. Very impressive at making quality of the car and finish. It's abundantly clear that this is a very well put together car with enough refinement to satisfy even the more demanding drivers among us. It looks great, the quirky interior is fabulous too. The extra features and bling factor might be a consideration for some people. Infotainment is very responsive, no lag like MG. Extra features are definitely nice to have, but probably not critical for me when picking a car. I mean, an EV is still a car. It's a thing that takes you from point A to point B. Even without those extra features, you would still reach point B. Like literally reach point B. One other spec that I look when buying a car is the tire size. It is important to consider what tire size a car has. The more common a tire size is, the easier it is for you to source tires. Naturally, if you have tires with rare sizes, this would also mean a more expensive price tag, which you really don't want. Luckily, the BYD Atto 3 comes with a common tire size, so that's good. So with all of these positive feedback, clearly the BYD Atto 3 is a good choice, right? Well, on paper and from initial feedback, yes, it is. But is it really enough to convince you? Like seriously, is it really enough? Or maybe you're just been taken with the hype. To answer that question, one must look a little bit deeper at BYD. Now, BYD has a strong electric vehicle presence in mainland China. They have an established market for EVs over there, and besides some small excursions that they have in other markets, this is actually the first time that BYD has attempted to encroach onto wider markets on a consumer level.
To get production for a right-hand drive market. So BYD have decided to come into Japan, Australia and New Zealand, and they've supported us with a dedicated production line. But what I can say is BYD have a very good global approach. They're actually supplying batteries to Tesla that will be fitted to Model Y.
Suppose you are BYD, a big and established EV brand, and you're now about to enter a new, wider foreign market. Now, you would definitely need to ensure that your first crack at this market will leave really good impressions, because this will have a ripple effect on your brand. What BYD is attempting to do here in military context is a textbook shock and awe strategy. They're putting their best foot forward at the landing phase. And this is why I am certain the first product that BYD introduces to the wider market will be something refined, formidable, and have been carefully packaged for its intended market. Something like the BYD Atto 3. When I took the Atto 3 for a test drive, I fully understood what BYD has done. Apart from the EV torque and the technology, the experience is very close to driving an ICE vehicle in terms of functionality and familiarity. And this is from someone who has just got into EVs. Like, there are those extra features, but the driving experience itself is very familiar. And I suppose this is why BYD may have carefully picked a front-wheel drive configuration for the Atto 3. The Atto 3 is largely targeted to people like me who are just going into their first EVs, and this market audience is coming mostly from an ICE front-wheel drive platform. And if this transitional experience is good for a long-term ICE user, the more likely that user will pick up the car, and BYD will slowly pick up mindshare as well. For BYD, the current target market is not for high-end consumers who already have their Teslas. Their target market is the people who are just transitioning into their first EV. If BYD can get that audience, they will be able to establish a long-term foothold in the global electric vehicle market. In terms of competition, it's not really a competition. It's more about involvement because the market is so huge. And we need people's participation into the market. Tesla is focusing on high-end consumer cars, and there's just a bit of overlapping, but we focus more on electric buses, trucks, and as well as consumer cars. Mostly, we are in a different market. And on our next video, we're going to dive deeper on BYD's global approach and why it will matter to everyone. So if you'd like to see that, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.